Listening for those who seek to understand current events, global politics, economics, science, and literature. I'll speak with experts to offer context and insight. Eye on the World, weeknights at 9 on Vermont's news station, WDEV AM and FM, and streaming at WDEVradio.com.
The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to WDEV@radiovermont.com.
The energy. We walked around for 35 minutes just in the parking lot looking for this car. The passion. UVM schedules the way they do to get as high a seed as possible in the NCAA tournament and to get as much tournament prep as they can because they're not going to get it from their league. The opinions on all your favorite teams. The organization should be taking care of Matt rather than Matt taking care of the organization.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Brady Farkas Show here on a Tuesday on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Full show today, all 90 minutes. We're up until 7 o'clock, and then it's Jazz with George Thomas. Tons to get to. Bob Socci, voice of the Patriots, going to be with us in about 15 minutes. They're playing the Jets this week in a huge matchup in the AFC East. Some stuff on UVM as they're out west again today, taking on USC out of the Pac-12. That will be an interesting matchup, so lots to get to. You can get in on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line, 802-585-3026, your locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and Morrisville. You can also watch the show on Facebook Live like Kyle is right now. He's already commented in YouTube Live and my Twitter account as well.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show were brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. I'm going to tell you how the Men's League Basketball Championship went in about 3 minutes. But I got to tell you, I am playing way out of my comfort zone today doing this show. For the first time in the history of the Brady Farkas Show, more than 2 years, I am doing this show while standing up. And I will tell you the challenges that presents in a second. But I cannot take it anymore. I cannot take this chair that we have in the studio anymore. About 8 months ago, we got a new chair in here. And it's great. It's really comfortable. Awesome. But the back to it, like the swivel thing on the back that keeps it tight and in place, that thing has fallen off and broken. Like, I tried to fix it. I'm sure someone else did. It can't be fixed. So when you sit in it and you lean back at all, you feel like the back is going to fall off and you're almost about to fall over. And if it's not going backwards, it's going left or right. So my back is throbbing, right? Like, I did the midday news service today, noon to 1. I just did the afternoon news service. So I've been on and in this chair for 2.5 hours already today. I can't take it for another 90 minutes. So I finally made the executive decision that I am standing up for the first time in the history of this show. And I actually prefer to do the show standing up. Like, I love to do the show standing up. I used to do shows at bars and at restaurants and at games, and I would always stand up. It's comfortable. You can talk, you'd be expressive. You can kind of sway a little bit. It's fun to do a show standing up. However, what's difficult about doing a show standing up here is that, like, I am 6'5". I am by far the tallest person in this building. This microphone barely gets to my level. So I got to be a little bit bent over just to get into the microphone. I also have a lot of buttons to press over the course of the show. They're now way far down below me here. So I got to bend down to press those buttons. To see the text line screen is tough because it's way down there. So I prefer to do the show standing up, but everything else is built for the show to be done sitting down. Even the camera now for the video stream has had to be changed, and it looks weird. Like, it's set for me to be sitting down. So I don't know how long this is going to last, but I can't do 90 minutes sitting down in this chair anymore. That is for sure. Again, Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. All right. Couple people have asked. People have already texted in. You want to know how the men's league hoop game went. There's a lot to get to on this. I'll try to get through it quick. We won. Cue the We Are the Champions music. Final score, 104-100. Excellent game. Great championship. Great end to the season. Two great teams. We finished on top 11-0. 11-0. And I'm told by league organizers that going unbeaten in this league, pretty tough to do, right? Some guys are in and out sometimes. Guys get injured. It's a men's league. You can bring a sub. Teams change. Teams are pretty even from the start. So to go 11-0, that's a pretty good deal. And our team went 11-0. And this was a challenge. We came from behind in this one. We were down a lot of the first half. Mike Trimboli, former UVM player, UVM Hall of Famer. He's on our team. Of course, he's our best player. He had to work yesterday, right? Like, there have been some games in this league where he's been able to show up and just score 60. Yesterday was tough. He shot well, but he was getting double teamed and he was getting triple teams. He was getting fouled. He was getting hacked, and he still had to have scored 45 points to carry us. So we won this game in large part because of what he was able to do, and I'm certainly aware of that. As for me and my ankle, the people who have wondered, my ankle held up great. I was a little bit worried. Once we got out there, though, the adrenaline was going, warm-ups happened, I was good. I got a little bit of warm-up time, after the show yesterday. Not much, but a little bit. So all the listeners who took the time to text in remedies, and some of you who even brought things to the studio to try to heal me, thank you. 2 weeks ago, less than 2 weeks ago, I couldn't even walk, right? My injury happened on Tuesday, November 1st. So 2 weeks ago today, I could not walk. Like, it was, my ankle looked like a soccer ball. It turned purple. My toes were purple. I couldn't even walk. So you listeners who helped me get better, I owe you a very big debt of gratitude for that, because if I had just kind of let this heal on my own and ice and that's it, I still wouldn't be walking well. But I played yesterday. I played nearly the whole game. 2 weeks ago, I couldn't even walk. Yesterday, I played nearly the whole game. As for how I played, I scored 18 points. I'm sure that was probably under my season average. I'm sure that was probably under what I, usually have scored. But yesterday was a tougher game. It was a championship game. It was harder to get shots. It was harder to make shots. I hadn't played in 2 weeks. But I got 18 points. I hit 6 threes. As for my percentage, I don't keep track of that. I'm vain enough to keep track of my points. I'm not vain enough to keep track of how many shots I took. I don't know, 6 of 12, 6 of 15, I don't know. I shot it okay from 3, but I had 18 points. I was pretty one-dimensional yesterday. Didn't go to the hoop much. I don't really go to the hoop a lot anyways, hint, hint. But, pretty one-dimensional, stood outside. Tough for me to get going inside. It was a big physical game. Hit my 6 threes. I got to tell you, though, and this is where it gets interesting. Dude on the other team trying to pick fights with me. Like, this is a nice league, nice, respectful league. Championship game, though. Emotions got high. I'm okay with that. Dude was trying to pick a fight with me, though. So, if you've never seen me, I am very tall and thin. I'm 6'5", 215, 220. There's not a lot of meat on these bones. So that's why I tell you, I'm a perimeter player. I don't tend to go inside. Despite being so tall, I'm not capable of doing a whole lot down low on most nights. So the guy I'm playing against, right, guy who's guarding me most of the game, probably about 6'3", 6'2", maybe, shorter than me. But you know this type. Bowling ball. Not fat. Certainly not fat. In shape, strong, looked like a guy who would have played linebacker in high school, fullback, run you over. So he's trying to exert his force over me, and he's trying to really give me the business. So I'm staying outside. He's trying to go inside. He's trying to run me over. I'm trying to not get run over. So we're kind of naturally getting aggressive with each other, right? We're kind of I'm fighting for position. He's fighting for position. As a result, he swings an elbow at me. he swings an elbow at me at one point. I'm sure I caught him with a shoulder. We've got our our feet kind of tangled up with each other. So we're kind of just on each other all game long. So there was a point where I was weak with the ball. I got the ball taken from me. He took it, scored the other way. So next time I'm trying to be stronger with the ball, right? And he basically tackled me. And I called a foul, right? It's call your own fouls. So I called a foul. And he's crying about it, and he's calling me names. He's telling me that I'm soft and that I'm whining, that I'm a wussy, but not a wussy, something worse than a wussy. So he's getting on me. And I just go up to him. I'm like, buddy, just play the game hard like we've been playing it all game long. Like, just play the game, and we're good. So he's getting on me. He's whining about that. Then he starts trying to take it to me even further, right? He's trying to run me over even more. He's trying to push me out of the way on rebounds, two-hand shoves to the back. I'm not saying anything. We're just kind of going at it. He's still winning the physical battle. He's got me by probably 80 pounds. Again, not fat, but he's got me by about 60, 80 pounds, and he's just tough. So he starts trying to run me over, and he scored one or two, and now I'm playing aggressive on defense. I'm trying to block shots. I'm trying to get position, and he calls me on a foul. And I didn't say anything. But he's like looking at me like, he goes, you've been crying all game. You've been whining all game. I go, pal, whining involves me actually speaking to you. I have not talked all game. So I am not whining. If you think I'm making faces or you think I'm, having histrionics, then that's one thing. But I'm not whining. Whining involves me saying something to you. I am not saying something to you. Just play the game. So he's trying to just give me the business. I had 18 points. I hit a couple of these threes right over him. That felt pretty good. I'm sure it felt good when he bodied me, all over the paint. It was a good physical game. It didn't need to go to this level. It didn't need to go to where he's calling me names and things like that. So, next time we play, he's going to know me as the guy who he thinks is a soft wussy, and I'm going to know him as the guy who wants to run me over, and I'm going to continue to shoot over him and try to make as many threes as I can. And that's how the game's going to be played. So, Ralph says you need to video this stuff. Dane says, Brady, I've seen you. A stiff wind would knock you over. That's why I hang out on the perimeter, Dane. That is why I do that. So, I don't need to video this stuff, Ralph. I'm just telling you what happened. This dude kind of reminded me, if you remember Mike Tolbert, played football, fullback for the Panthers. That's what he reminded me of. Like, thick legs, bruiser. Again, not out of shape. Just a thick individual, much thicker than me. But we were going at it. It was a championship game. We should have been going at it. But I didn't need to be called a wuss. Because I wasn't complaining. I know that I'm rail thin. I'm used to people trying to run me over. So, you want to do that, go ahead. But don't be throwing elbows at me, and don't be double pushing me to the back. I didn't call any fouls on that stuff. So I wasn't crying all game like he thought. But we did win. I did have 18. The ankle did hold up. That was awesome. And by the way, it was a great time. I played in a lot of men's leagues, right? Baseball leagues, basketball leagues. I've played them in Albany where I grew up. I've played in them here. I played in the Travel Men's League, the Chelsea League that went through all of Vermont. I played in all these things. This was some of the most fun I've had playing in a men's league. This was a really good group on my team. It was a generally great group around the league. So shout out to Dennis, who runs the league in Essex. Shout out to the Essex Parks and Rec crew. This was fun, man. This was a lot of fun. And I really enjoyed myself. So 802-585-3026. Texter says, good luck having to stand to do the show tonight, Brady. Great job like usual. I'm trying. Like I said, I prefer to stand and do the show. I don't want my back. I mean, listen to this. Can you hear this? That's how unstable the chair is that I have to sit on otherwise. So I'm going to stand. I'm going to gut it out. And maybe this will become my new thing as we go, standing and doing the show. It is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. I could tell stories about my men's league hoops all day. I could give you the entire play-by-play from last night's championship game, but we got to get to our guy. Patriots broadcaster Bob Socci.
The old names are gone.
Brady takes the snap, back pedals, fires left, catch made by White, turns to the inside, dives across the goal line. Touchdown, Patriots!
But there's new hope in Foxborough.
Stevenson with a great run to the outside. Still on the go. Andre Stevenson trying to go wire. Second touchdown.
For the latest on the Patriots, we talk to the voice of the Patriots, Bob Socci, on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
All right, I do want to welcome in now the voice of the New England Patriots, Bob Socci. Patriots and Jets taking on each other coming up this Sunday. Our coverage is going to begin at 10 a.m. The kickoff is at 1 p.m. The Jets are 6-3. The Pats are 5-4. Pats are very much in the playoff conversation as we sit right now. Bob, it's weird not having the Patriots to talk about from a game perspective, right? Pats were on the bye this last weekend, so it's not a victory Tuesday. It's just kind of a Patriots Tuesday.
Well, it's good to be with you, Brady. I don't look at this as an Tuesday. It's a beautiful, bright, sunshine-filled afternoon here in Boston as we talk. And the Patriots have, as you mentioned, a big game coming up against the Jets in a division in which all four teams have winning records. The Patriots right now are 8th in the AFC, although I think any discussion about the playoffs is entirely premature. We should have learned that from last year's 9-4 record with the quote-unquote top seed in the AFC before, of course, they spiraled out of that position following the loss to Indianapolis. But nonetheless, it is a big game on Sunday. No understating it, no overstating it, I should say, as the Patriots take on the Jets, with New York coming off a bye as well.
Well, I'm looking forward to that again Sunday at 10. But let me go to something else right off the top here. And I think I'm probably going to feel differently about this than you are. But Peter King reported yesterday that the Patriots are very possibly going to be one of the teams going to Germany next year and potentially hosting an NFL Germany matchup. I'm not a huge fan of my team playing overseas. I think those games tend to be sloppy and they get you out of your routine and the field conditions worry me, etc. But you as a broadcaster, how would you feel about going to Germany and calling an NFL Germany game with the Pats next year?
Well, I would say it's very probable, very likely that the Patriots will be in Germany next year. It's their international marketing territory. They've broadcast games to Germany during the preseason for a number of years with German expats Sebastian Vollmer and Marcus Kuhn calling those games for the Patriots. Those are two of three natives of Germany who play for the Patriots in recent history, including Jakob Johnson, of course. So I think the Patriots will be there. They'll have the 9th home game next year, which, of course, gives them the latitude to not lose a home game per se out of the usual 8 that you're allotted every season, but now with that odd game, the 17th game, and alternating between home and away each year. Next season, they're due to have that 9th game at home. So it makes perfect sense for me. The Patriots will be in Germany. They had a big bash last weekend as well. They staged a couple of events around the game between the Buccaneers and the Seahawks in Germany. I had the experience of calling the game in Mexico City in 2017 between the Patriots and the Raiders. And while it was far from ideal in a lot of ways, it was a tremendous experience. I'm looking forward to it. I did not get a chance to call the Patriots' last game in Europe, which was in 2012 versus the St. Louis Rams. I think it's a tremendous opportunity. Watching that game on Sunday morning, the crowd, the atmosphere, knowing what I've learned about American football in Germany and how popular it is there, in great part because of those connections with the Patriots. I'm excited about the prospect of it. I really look forward to it.
I think, like I said, I think it was an awesome experience. I love watching it. I just prefer that my team not do it. That's the only issue. I think it's great for the league. I just don't love it for my team. But I think, like I said, I think I'm in the minority on that one, and I understand why you would be excited. Let's get to the task at hand, Patriots and Jets. These two teams just saw each other a couple of weeks ago, and the Patriots dominated that matchup. Does that quick turnaround aid one side or the other?
I'll give you a little pushback. I don't think the Pats really dominated that matchup. I think that, the Patriots had the interceptions against Zach Wilson. Let's remember, the Patriots were down late in the first half, and a pick six is nullified by roughing the passer. If that play stands, there's no call. It's a 17-3 game with the Patriots trying to move the ball against a very good defense. And I think the Jets looked at that as a missed opportunity at home and ended their losing streak. And, they were very resolute afterwards in some of the language. Even Zach Wilson said, we'll see those guys in a couple of weeks. Wilson did a much better job protecting the ball against the Bills. They had a kind of a resurgence of their running game versus Buffalo. They forced Josh Allen into some mistakes, although Allen, of course, has been on this streak over the last few weeks where he's been prone to turn the ball over, and the Patriots try to get Mac Jones out of that habit, and he took a step in that direction with the Patriots' most recent game. So I think it shapes up to be a very similar contest to the first meeting of these teams. Low scoring, grinded out, whoever commits the fewest mistakes wins.
Bob Socci, voice of the Patriots, with us here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV. He's with us every Tuesday at this time, and he'll be on the call on Sunday for the Pats and Jets, which we'll have right here on DEV. Bob, it seems like the Patriots are going to go to I don't mean to demean it. It seems like they're going to play a more conservative offense, and it seems like they're not going to ask Mac to do some of the things they asked him to do early in the year as far as take chances. Ramondre Stevenson has really cemented himself as the number one back. But if you are going to be a run-focused team, isn't this team going to have to get a little more balance with Damian Harris? Because we haven't called his name as much the last couple of weeks, and injury's been a part of that. But doesn't he need to get going again the second half of the season if this is going to be the offense?
Yeah, Brady, a couple of things. I think the first thing they have to do is shore up the offensive line. They've got to solve their blocking issues. Otherwise, they're not going to be a good running team or be able to accomplish the kind of things they want to do in the passing game. And that's been a huge problem. And, of course, it's priority one against that Jets defensive line. We saw how good they were a few weeks ago. And, the Patriots going into this game will have David Andrews back. That should help. They've had some time as a coaching staff to self-scout and evaluate personnel, evaluate their schemes, evaluate their play calling, and, the way they use that personnel. So I think that's priority number one. Solidify the five guys blocking in front of Mac Jones and Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris. And to your point, I absolutely agree. I think the load that Stevenson has been asked to carry the last several weeks, whether as a runner, a receiver, or a pass protector, has been really unusual by Patriot standards. Not in my time have we seen a running back utilized so heavily by the Pats. Of course, they no longer have the fullback. They no longer have the designated third down back, as they did when James White was so productive for so long, following in the tradition of Kevin Falk and others. So I do think that, when you look at them right now, moving forward second half of the season, that Damian Harris has to be a big part of it. I kind of scoffed at the idea that the Patriots should have traded him going into the trade deadline, as some suggested, because to me, particularly at that position, and we saw it in the Patriots last game with Indianapolis, what a difference for the Colts without Jonathan Taylor and with Jonathan Taylor. And when you look at the Patriots and J.J. Taylor behind Ramondre Stevenson, that is a huge drop-off from Damian Harris complimenting Ramondre Stevenson, particularly if your offensive line is having trouble, because in the case of both Harris and Stevenson, they're guys who make a lot of yards in some after contact when you look at the body of their work at the end of a game, at the end of a season.
I think we've seen a lot of good stuff, sometimes consistently, sometimes in spurts from this year's rookie class. I think Marcus Jones has been awesome in the return game. Cole Strange has had moments. He's had moments that weren't so good either. Let me ask you about Jack Jones, and I don't know the answer to this question. There was like a 3-week stretch where we were calling Jack Jones' name every game, right? He had to pick 6 against Green Bay, had to pick the next week, I think, in the red zone against Detroit. We haven't called his name the last couple of weeks. Is that a product of something going wrong, or has he gotten so good they're not even testing him, so there's no reason to say his name? What do you think? What do you see from Jack Jones the last couple of weeks?
I don't think I've seen any drop-off in Jack Jones' play. I mean, I think the thing that stands out to me about Jack Jones is his physical aggressiveness in the run game. And I think there's a two-part answer to why we haven't seen him test. Number one is I think he's established a bit of a credibility around the league, where, when he was in the lineup early on, teams might have been more prone. Hey, there's the rookie. Let's seek him out. Let's see if we can get him to bite on a double move, perhaps. Although I don't know that they have actually tried to execute that. But now that he's several weeks, past the point that you described, where he had those interceptions and he made big plays. I think, that certainly, has got to be a factor when you're an offensive coordinator, when you're a quarterback. He's no longer the guy you want to try to exploit. Now you're maybe going to try to look elsewhere. But the bigger part of it, I think, for me, is that, the passing offenses the Patriots have faced recently, and let's start with the Colts, they never had a chance, frankly, to try to target anybody in particular. Not that they would have gone after Jack Jones. I'm not saying that. But Sam Ehlinger was under an onslaught of defenders, and the Colts, really had no semblance of a passing attack against the Patriots in that game 2 weeks ago. I think when you go back to previous week with Zach Wilson turning the ball over for the Jets as frequently as he did in the second half. But I think Jack Jones is having a great rookie year, all things considered. I think the Patriots rookies on whole have exceeded expectations. Cole Strange has taken a step back the last couple of weeks, as you referenced, against very good defensive lines. That's one thing for the Colts, too. When you look at their defensive front, maybe not as highly publicized as the Jets, nor as stout and as deep as the Jets, but I think still that front four, the starting four of Ngakoue, Buckner, Stewart, Hay, that's very good. And I think that, in the case of Cole Strange, he took a step back, but there are reasons for that. And with the other rookies, inconsistency is what you expect from the rookie class. The big jump in consistency is supposed to come really in year two.
We can rip the Pats offense all we want. We can talk about red zone struggles, and a lot of it is justified. But we also have to compliment Nick Folk, because he's the guy who is salvaging points on these drives that aren't ending up in touchdowns. And I'm not really into midseason awards and rankings and MVPs and all that. Nick Folk is this team's offensive MVP, at least through the first half of the season. What a luxury he's been, and really a revelation. He's 38 years old, I think. They got him in 2020, and I wasn't expecting a whole lot, and he's been rock solid for 2.5 years now, Bob.
Brady, in 2017, the Patriots played the Bucs on a Thursday night, and Nick Folk missed 3 field goals.
That's right.
Yes. That was his last game in the NFL before the Patriots signed him. Wow. And he wasn't their first choice. Remember, 2019, they brought in several others.
2019, yes.
And eventually they moved on from Kai Forbath. Stephen Gostkowski had gotten hurt early in that season.
Mike Nugent was there for a bit.
I'm sorry? Yeah, Mike Nugent, absolutely.
Yeah.
And in the case of Nick Folk, he has been a revelation. He spent time in the Alliance of American Football. He was selling commercial real estate. It's a tremendous story, and he's really been a great fit in that locker room. I think that's one of the things that stands out about the Patriots kickers, the regulars, in my experience calling Pats games, and Stephen Gostkowski and Nick Folk, and what I know of with regards to Adam Vinatieri. Place kickers have this reputation of being the guys that, they're off on their own during practice, and they're not really football players per se. They're not really athletes like the rest of the guys who grind and sweat and pump iron on a daily basis. And yet those Patriots place kickers have all had a reputation and have been described by head coach Bill Belichick and their teammates as being football players. Not just kickers, not just specialists, they're football players. I think they're all great, very good athletes. I think they're all, guys that have been very professional in their time with the Patriots and really blended well with everybody else. And the most important part of it is they've all been consistently reliable. And Folk has been terrific for this team. You can make an argument, really, if you had an MVP award for the last 2.5 seasons, it would be Nick Folk.
Yeah, Nick Folk has been great and a tremendous story. Yeah, a serious revelation, because when Gostkowski got hurt in 2019, we were all thinking, because he had missed a couple kicks, he was injured, then I think he went on IR and he missed the rest of the season, and the kicking game was a real problem for that team. Mm-hmm. And then Nick Folk has come and solidified it for the last couple of years. He's been awesome. Well, the call of the game, I'm sure, will be awesome as well. Patriots and Jets coming up Sunday, 10 a.m. with our pregame show, 1 p.m. with the kickoff. Bob and Zoe on the call as always here on DEV. Bob, much appreciated as always. I hope the bye week was restful, because it's every week until hopefully February for you from here on out. So we'll talk to you next week.
Starting Sunday, 3 games in 12 days. Looking forward to it, Brady. Appreciate it.
3 games in 12 days. That's right. We think about Thanksgiving. They got that game against Minnesota on Thanksgiving night. So, yeah, certainly going to be busy times for Bob Socci. And, Bob was probably right to push back on me a little bit. The Patriots dominated the second half of that Jets matchup. They did not dominate the first half. The Jets were up, I believe, 10-6 at halftime. Could have been 17-3 to his point, so that's fair. The Patriots were in control in the second half. They scored that touchdown right out of the halftime break. Mac Jones threw the touchdown to Jacoby Myers. Beyond that, though, or before that, though, the Jets were very much in it. Lots of good stuff, as always, with Bob. You know, I hadn't realized that Nick Folk was out of the game for so long entirely, out of the NFL for so long entirely. He really has been a revelation. I remember that Thursday night game. That was Color Rush Day. The Bucs were wearing these all ketchup colored uniforms. It was raining out. The Pats were wearing all white. I was doing that show at a bar somewhere. Like I was watching that game at a bar somewhere for a different radio station. So I remember that game. Well, I think it was the Church Street Tavern. I think that's where I was watching that game, was the Church Street Tavern. I want to get something else that Bob said in the 6 o'clock hour. Give us some time to cut up the audio. But when we come back, I need you all to help me settle the debate I've been having all day here. Christmas music before Thanksgiving, fair or foul?
96.1 WDEV FM Warren, 96.5 W243 AT Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Mountain, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury.
News on the hour, sponsored by Dell Small Business.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York. The Pentagon is still working to confirm reports of a missile attack in Poland that's killed 2 people. CBS's Cameron McCormick has the latest.
The Pentagon says it cannot confirm the reports, but is taking them seriously. The missiles may have landed just inside Poland's border. Poland is a NATO member and U.S. troops are stationed there. The Pentagon says protecting those troops is a top priority, as is the U.S. pledge to protect every inch of NATO territory.
Former President Trump is set to announce his plans for 2024 soon at Mar-a-Lago. CBS's Major Garrett is there and says Trump's stockpiling support.
He's got that state and county RNC support. He's got about $100 million in campaign cash, most of it hard money. He also has a digital infrastructure with at least 50 million contacts. Many of those are reliable Trump-backing voters.
The announcement's expected in just 3 hours. Republican leader Kevin McCarthy has won his party's nomination for House Speaker.
He needed a majority vote in the House Republican Conference to be their nominee for Speaker, and he easily got that. 188-31 is a pretty overwhelming victory. They did the vote by secret ballot, handwritten ballots inside a big white box.
That's CBS's Scott McFarland. If Republicans win House majority, McCarthy would need support from 218 lawmakers. It's been an emotional day at the sentencing hearing for the man who plowed into a Christmas parade crowd in Waukesha, Wisconsin. CBS's Jennifer Kuiper reports.
One by one, victims and their family members spoke of the horrors of the crash and the physical and emotional anguish they face almost 1 year after Darrell Brooks Jr. drove an SUV along a Christmas parade route. The mother of an 8-year-old boy who was killed told the court she feels gutted. Lori Locken, a nurse and mother of 4, was critically injured and lived to tell her story.
I clearly remember feeling the impact. The searing pain of that blow is as clear to me today as it was a year ago.
The driver faces life in prison for killing 6 people. Athletic staff at the University of Virginia are mourning the loss of 3 football players who were killed on campus Sunday. Head coach Tony Elliott.
Feels like it's a nightmare, to be honest with you. And I'm ready for somebody to pinch me and wake me up and say that this didn't happen.
A former player is set to face charges.
It's me. Hi, I'm the problem, it's me.
Ticketmaster's facing technical difficulties today as Taylor Swift fans flood the site to get their hands on pre-sale tickets for her new Eras tour. West Coast sales have been delayed for hours, and some have even been pushed to tomorrow. Taylor's tour kicks off in Arizona in March. This is CBS News.
Dell Technologies Black Friday starts now with up to 50% off select business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Call 877-ASK-DELL.
Dell Technologies. At Northfield Savings Bank, we celebrate the ways you work and why you work. To build a business, to make a brighter future, to do something that matters. You don't do just one thing in your business. Neither do we. Whatever your size, you have goals for yourself and those around you. Our commitment is helping you get there. Builders, makers, doers. Northfield Savings Bank. Find out more about us at nsbvt.com. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Changing seasons means changing routines. Life can get hectic and stressful, so make time for yourself and your health.
Discover the positive effects of holistic health methods like acupuncture, reflexology, chiropractic care, Reiki, cupping, or massage. Waterbury has so many great wellness businesses, so you're sure to find your perfect fit. Or if you want to relax and rejuvenate with a salon or spa day, Waterbury has those too. Facials, hair, nails, treat yourself to some feel-good fun. Find your peace in Waterbury. Visit discoverwaterbury.com to learn more about all the wonderful health and wellness businesses.
The Wine Vault, an approachable wine shop. We take the snobbery out of wine. With over 1,000 bottles to choose from, we feature the classics of Napa to the funk of Slovenia. The Wine Vault is located on Elm Street in Waterbury, across from Propane. See you at the vault.
Hey, have you been to Green Mountain Dry Goods yet? On the Waterbury Store Road, right across from Ben & Jerry's. We hear it's the destination for Vermont-inspired gifts. Go check it out. Open 7 days.
Hi, this is Anson Tebbets, co-host of For the Birds, heard Saturdays on WDEV. Each week, Chip Darmstadt and I discuss bird sightings, bird counts, and activity at your feeder. You also can listen anytime to podcasts on Apple, Google, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Join us Saturdays at 7:30 and 12:15 for the Birds. 28 years on WDEV AM and FM and streaming at WDEVradio.com.
Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. We're going to get to a couple of listener texts from yesterday that I want to get to momentarily. One's on UVM men's basketball and one is on the Patriots and someone poking fun at me. So we will get to those in just a few moments. But I want to kind of settle this debate here. And you are the right crowd to bring this question to. I've been asking people all day around the building, and I've been asking people on the afternoon news service this question. How do you feel about Christmas/holiday music before Thanksgiving? Because I was driving around today, and contrary to belief, I don't only listen to WDEV, right? Sometimes I listen to other stations, sometimes I listen to podcasts, sometimes I listen to games, but I was flipping around today. I went to pick up a sandwich, and I'm flipping around, and all of a sudden Christmas music comes on. I can't do it. I can't do it. I refuse to do it. And I will say this every year until I die. I refuse to do Christmas before Thanksgiving. You know what my issue is? And this is kind of just my thing in general. I believe that every season has their season. And that season should not be infiltrated by other seasons. You should have your time when it is your time. I do not do Halloween in August. I do not do Valentine's Day in December. I do not do Christmas before Thanksgiving. I don't do Thanksgiving before Halloween. I don't do it. And I don't want to do it. Like, there are radio stations in this state playing Christmas music 24 hours a day now through Christmas. It was 75 degrees last week. How many times do we need to hear Little Drummer Boy between November 10th and December 25th? And look, maybe I'm Ebenezer Scrooge Farkas on this one. Maybe I'm in the minority, and you all can tell me, 802-585-3026, but I have no interest in this. No interest at all. Thanksgiving should be Thanksgiving. Christmas should be Christmas. It's just not for me. Like I always believe that your time should be your time. I've always felt that way. I feel the same way about the weather. I didn't need it to be 75 in November. Conversely, I don't need it to be 25 in May. When it's supposed to be hot, be hot. When it's supposed to be cold, be cold. When it's supposed to be Thanksgiving, be Thanksgiving. That is how I feel. And again, I don't know if I'm in the minority. Texter says, great question. It's unacceptable to play Christmas music prior to Thanksgiving. It's all about money. It's putting Christmas stuff up in the stores, that's about money. As for this radio station, I don't know. As for these radio stations, I don't know what it's about. Maybe it's about money. I'm not smart enough to know that. I just know I don't listen to it. I was checking channels the other day, heard Christmas music, and immediately changed. Definitely after Thanksgiving. Thank you, Mary and Randolph. John And Barry says, I don't care for Christmas music at Christmas. Now, that sounds very Scrooge-like, but I'll be honest. I don't like Christmas music that much, period, either. I will listen to it on Christmas. I'll listen to it on Christmas Eve. I don't spend a lot of time listening to Christmas music, but that is a me thing. I accept that society, like I'm okay with Christmas music being played, after Thanksgiving. I just don't spend a lot of time listening to it. Right? If Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You is on December 1st, that's a banger. I'm going to be excited. If Happy Christmas by John Lennon's on, I'm going to listen. I like Barumpa Pum Pum. I like Christmas songs. I just don't spend 40 days just listening to the same ones over and over again. But that is a me thing. So, John, I listen to it on Christmas, but if it's December 21st, I'll be listening to regular radio. Trust me, I'm with you on that. Are pumpkins in September okay? This is from James. It's a good question. I would say pumpkins after September 21st are okay because September 21st is officially fall. If I see pumpkins in the season of fall, I can probably be okay with that. I don't want to see pumpkins carved until October 1st. You really wouldn't carve a pumpkin that early anyways because then it'll go bad or it'll get eaten by an animal. But in general, I don't want to see carved I don't want to see Halloween decor until October 1st. But if I saw a pumpkin in the season of fall, I'd probably let that slide. So I'd probably let that slide. One other thing before I get to a couple texts. I one more question out there for the text line doctors. And I'm going to keep this simple, and I'm not going to give all the details on this. But since you all fixed my ankle, I'm going to ask you for a little more help. I clearly have bad feet. That is something that I have. I played one basketball game last night, right? One game. One game on one day. It wasn't 3 games in 3 days. It wasn't 5 hours at a time. I played one game in one day. My feet, my big toe, blistered, and then that blister ripped within the span of the game. I'll leave it at that, but I tore all the skin off my big toe yesterday over the course of one game. What can be done to prevent that? Because I like basketball. I want to keep playing it. I want to play it more often, but I can't have my feet getting shredded. I offer no more details on what I just did because talking about feet is not fun for anybody. But since you all fixed my ankle, maybe we got some text line doctors that can help me here. Right? I've tried callus pads. I've tried, pads that cover your toe. I've tried gauze. Gauze worked, but I don't really like doing it. I've tried socks that aren't supposed to sweat so they don't get wet and have friction. I've tried everything. One game yesterday tore all the skin off my big toe. I'll leave it at that. 802-585-3026. If any of you text line doctors have the answer. All right. A couple of interesting questions on the text line, both of which came in yesterday. Actually, one came in yesterday and one came in today. This is about UVM basketball. Philip in South Burlington. Brady, you talk a lot about UVM basketball, which I appreciate. Do you think that UVM really has to win its league title? Or could the America East ever get 2 teams in the NCAA tournament? I don't believe that the America East is... I get asked this question almost every year. And basically, it's like, Brady, if UVM gets upset in its conference tournament, do you think that UVM can still make it? And the answer to that every year is no. Now, Bryant's in the league this year, and they're better, so the league has a little bit of depth, and I think the answer is still no. And, we're at the point of the season where you can kiss the dream of the America East being a 2-bid league. You can already practically kiss it goodbye. And here's why I say this. Again, I've always said it won't be a 2-bid league, and I think it's damn near impossible. Of course, it's not literally possible, Of course, it's not literally impossible. There's always something. But for what it's worth, Catamount head coach John Becker was asked this question a couple of weeks ago.
I mean, I was told last year if we had beaten Providence, which is a big if, we lost by 10, and they were a really, really good team. But if we had won that game, we would have been a bubble team last year because we're so efficient. You know, they take into account now offense and defensive efficiency. I guess my answer always is no. I don't think this league would be a two-bid league, but apparently last year we were, I don't know if we were relatively close.
So Becker says basically he agrees with me, right? That being an at-large team for the America East Conference is pretty much always going to be a no. And I'll just run the scenarios like, here's why it's so unlikely, right? Like, unlikely is the best case scenario. Impossible is more likely. Here's what you need. And I'm going to spend a lot of time on this because it gets kind of convoluted, but I did do some thinking about this. If UVM went 16-0 in the league, right, in the regular season, if UVM went 16-0, you'd need Bryant to go like 14-2 in the league, right? Their only loss is to UVM. So you'd need Bryant to win the championship. They'd finish with the America East season plus the tournament at 17-2. UVM would have lost in the title. They'd be 18-1. So both teams would have great records. You need UVM to have beaten Bryant twice in the regular season. I mean, that would go a little bit. That would move the committee a little bit. Okay, a team that wins 17-2, they beat them twice. A team that won its league, won its conference tournament, they beat them twice. That counts for something. But then you need a bunch of other things which are unlikely to happen. You'd need Bryant to also pump up its out-of-conference resume to make them appear even better. This year specifically, Bryant's not playing anybody out of conference, so they're not even going to have a chance to do that. They're playing Cincinnati and Syracuse and a bunch of Division III teams. So Bryant is not going to be like some great resume builder for you because they're not going to have anybody that they've beat. And finally, UVM has pretty much forfeited its chance of putting together a great resume, right? Like, they've already got beat by St. Mary's. They've already got beat by Fullerton. They're probably going to get beat tonight by USC. Like, if they don't beat Miami, then there's really nothing they can do resume-wise to appear great in the out of conference. So no, it just feels like there's too many things that are unlikely. Like, you got to be great, Bryant's got to be great, and you both needed to have beaten multiple power conference teams in order to bump up each other's resume. It just doesn't feel likely. So yes, it's a hypothetical scenario, but I don't see it happening. UVM needs to win its league tournament. And I understand that is ultimately the thing that matters most. We had this discussion yesterday. UVM could go 0-14 in the league. If they go 0-14 in the non-league, if they go 16-0 in the league and win the tournament, then they're going to get in. And ultimately, that is what we care about. But when I look at it, I look at the non-conference as very important because I'm beyond just trying to get into the NCAA tournament. I'm looking to win in the tournament. In order to win in the tournament, you want to have a higher seed. How do you get a higher seed? You play well over the course of the non-conference. So that is why I care about it so much. That is why I'm so in tune with it. That is why I'll be watching tonight at 11 o'clock until 1 o'clock in the morning, probably watching the game against USC. But no, Phillip and South Burlington, I do not think that the America East will get two teams. Texter says, Brady, I may be wrong, but I think one time when Taylor Coppenrath was playing, they lost the America East Championship but got into the tournament. That never happened. No, that did not happen. UVM was never an at-large bid. You win the America East Conference tournament and you're in. That's it. That's simple. That is how it's been. That's how it will always be. Since the America East was founded, it's a one-bid league. Always. Right? I worked in Albany for 3 years. Albany got to the NCAA tournament every year that I was there. Always won its league. Always won the league championship. Right? Every year that I worked in Albany, they got there, won the tournament. Every year that I've been here, it's been a one. UVM went like 29-5 one year. Got beat at the buzzer by UMBC and wasn't even close to getting into the tournament. So it's not going to – there's just too much stuff that needs to happen. You got to pull upsets. Your opponent's got to pull upsets. The league's got to have another power team. And even that isn't going to be enough, most likely. Of course, you never say never, but most likely it's not going to be enough. Texter gets on me and says, Brady, stop. You talk sports. Suck it up. Nobody cares about your feet. Well, what's interesting is that when my ankle was broken, everybody cared and people came to the studio to help. When I talk about Christmas music, I got like 100 texts on that. So people care about things other than sports, unnamed texter. If I can throw out one person to get me a remedy for my ailing foot, I'm going to take that opportunity because people seem interested. I got plenty of sound bites here about sports stuff we're going to get to here momentarily. I want to address another guy on the text line, though, who's giving me a hard time. This is one of our best listeners, Phil in Middlesex. Brady, oh, hold on. Let me get the whole thing here. Let me pull the whole thing up. Sorry, Phil. Where did that go? All right. He said a couple of things, but then he ended it with a kicker. Brady, Russell Wilson is basically Cam Newton. He used to be effective by running, but he's worn down now and has to depend on his arm, which isn't there anymore. Didn't you want the Patriots to trade a first-round pick and other draft assets for Wilson? That's Phil in Middlesex. And he asked a good question. Let's kind of go bit by bit because there's a lot of stuff in there to unpack. Yes, I did. I did want the Patriots to trade for Russell Wilson. I thought the Patriots should have traded a first-round pick. I thought they should have traded Mac Jones. I thought they should have traded something else in the draft for Russell Wilson. Now, that would have proven a bad trade on my end, but not for the reason that you think. See, I don't think that Russell Wilson is awful, and I don't think that Russell Wilson is washed. But I think Russell Wilson wants to play and is playing in Denver in an offense that doesn't best serve him. I spend a lot of time listening to Seattle Sports Radio and listening to Seattle Sports Radio podcasts, and all the talk there is that Russell Wilson wanted more. Russell Wilson wanted out from Pete Carroll's system. Russell Wilson wanted to play like MVP quarterbacks play. He wanted to play, simply put, where he was going to get the credit. He didn't want it to be the defense. He didn't want it to be the running game. He didn't want it to be the system. He wanted to sling it like Tom Brady slings it, like Aaron Rodgers slings it, and like guys who get MVPs sling it, like Peyton Manning. That is what Russell Wilson wants, and Russell Wilson has that in Denver, and it's not going well. Okay, it's not going well. He wants to play in an offense that doesn't best serve him. He is best in an offense where his legs are a threat, where the pocket moves, where his inability to see over the line of scrimmage is minimized, where the run game is a big part of it, where things can cover up his deficiencies, and he has them. That's what Russell Wilson is best at, or when he's at his best, but he doesn't want to play in that. So I don't think that Russell Wilson would work in Foxborough. Not because Russell Wilson is horrible, but because Russell Wilson's ego is getting in the way. Right? Russell Wilson's ego is getting in the way. He wants an offense that is not particularly that is not well suited for him. And if he wanted to do that in New England, then he would look like he looks in Denver, or worse. So, no, Russell Wilson would not have been a good fit in New England. But let me ask you this. Can you also, if you're going to give me I told you so's about Russell Wilson not being right in New England, can you give me at least a little bit of credit that my idea of trading Mac Jones, it was not a flawed one, right? Both things can be true. I could have been wrong on Russell Wilson, but I was right to consider trading Mac Jones. I was okay with moving on from Mac in the offseason. Don't you think I'm right that Mac is not a must-hang-on-to quarterback? I like Mac, and I don't think he's getting a lot of help. That said, I would move Mac again this offseason for the right piece. And maybe Russell Wilson's not the right piece, and I don't think that Jimmy Garoppolo will be the right piece, and I don't think that I don't think that Geno Smith will be the right piece when you come to free agency. But when the quarterback carousel gets going again, I will also, again, be okay with moving on from Mac Jones. And I think I've been proven right about that would be something, that would be a pill that people are willing or should be willing to swallow. So Russell Wilson wouldn't work in Foxborough with his ego and with the offense he wants to play. But Mac Jones is not a slam dunk either. So let's just understand that I was half right on that. And for the texter, Phil, who says Russell Wilson is Cam Newton. All right. Look, you know I like Cam. And Cam was a more powerful runner than Russ. But as a quarterback, Russell Wilson and Cam Newton, it's not even a competition. I mean, Russell Wilson had a 65% completion percentage to Cam's 60. He's playing a few more games than Cam, but he's thrown for 7,000 more yards, 100 more touchdowns, 30 less interceptions, and 18 more games. Russ has more yards per attempt, more passing yards per game. Russ is the better quarterback. So let's understand that. All right. And again, I don't think Russell Wilson his skills are awful this year. The offense is awful. His ego is awful. What has allowed it to get to this point is awful. I don't trust that he could work in Foxborough because his ego would get in the way. And I don't think the Patriots coaching staff, with as inexperienced as it is offensively, I don't think they could change his mind. And I don't think that they could come up with an offense that combines what's best for Russell's ego with what's best for Russell the player. So, yes, I'll take the L on Russ not being a good fit in Foxborough. But I'm taking a W that Mac is worthy of trading. Kyle in South Burlington says, trade Mac and start Zappy. Well, look, let's not go that far. Right? Let's not go that far. I'll trade Mac. Right? I will trade Mac in the offseason. I don't know. Look, this is not going to happen because he's going to get franchise tagged. If Lamar Jackson hits free agency and I can sign him, I will do it. And I will trade Mac Jones. Right? If Lamar Jackson hits free agency, I will pay him $150 guaranteed million over having Mac Jones on a rookie contract. I would rather have Lamar Jackson. I would not rather have Daniel Jones. I would not rather have Jimmy Garoppolo. I would not rather have, some other backup that's treading around. I wouldn't rather have Taylor Heineke, who won that game yesterday. I think Mac is better than those options. Geno Smith? Maybe. I might want Geno. I might trade Mac if I can get Geno, if Geno continues this. I don't know that that'll be the case. I think he'll stay in Seattle anyways. But I will move on from Mac if the right piece comes along. Mac Jones is absolutely tradable as far as I'm concerned. All right, we talked with Bob Socci, the voice of the Patriots, a little while ago, and we got some of that cut up right now. I want to get to one thing that Bob and I talked about. Let's get to who's saying what.
Whoa. What did he say?
They have an expensive but totally unimpressive receiving core, and they have at absolute best, at most charitable, the 9th best quarterback in their own conference.
They really said that?
Every damn thing is politics and race, and I'm losing my mind over it.
It's time for Who's Saying What on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Who's Saying What, brought to you by Vermont Laser Wash. That's Central Vermont's home of unlimited car washes. If you want, unlimited car washes, it's $20 a month. If you want one free car wash, it's just text the word Vermont to the number 30 and then 400. Texter says, what is happening to Zappy? Well, Zappy's going to remain the backup. What do you mean what's happening to Zappy? They drafted him in the 4th round, and he's going to be their backup quarterback. And if they choose to go with Mac and not go for anybody else, then I'd trade Zappy too. But Zappy doesn't have a whole lot of value. Like, at the end of the day, Bailey Zappe has played 3 games. One of them against the worst defense in NFL history in the Lions. One of them against whoever came after the Lions, which was horrific. Cleveland, who can't stop anybody. So, yeah, Zappe, he's a backup quarterback. I'd trade him if there was a market for him, but there's not. If he kept playing and a market developed, then that would be one story. But at this point, no. Zappe just remains the backup quarterback. All right. I talked to Bob Socci, right? And we talked about as the Patriots kind of hit the second half of the season here, and they hit after the bye. What needs to happen for them? What needs to improve? And Bob mentioned appropriately the offensive line needs to improve. The offensive line needs to be better. And look, the offensive line has been dreadful at times this year, right? From week 1 where Mac Jones got sacked in the end zone, it was a sack, fumble, touchdown, to, every other time that Mac Jones is getting killed. So the line needs to be better. They need to find some stabilization there on the line. Guys need to remain healthy. The line needs to be better. That's 1. 2, I think just Mac needs to be better, right? His decision-making needs to be better. He's been under pressure a lot, and he's had a lot of issues. He's had injury. His decision-making needs to be better. I don't think that Mac Jones is physically broken. I think he's showed times where he's mentally kind of small right now. So those 2 things I think are given. The third thing for the Patriots I think that needs to get better is they need to get something out of Damien Harris. Now, Damien Harris has been injured, but we really haven't called his name much this season. And I got to think, as the weather gets colder and as the Patriots likely pull back on the reins for Mac Jones a little bit, the run game is going to continue to be what they lean on. And if they're going to lean on the run game, then they're going to need the two-headed monster. They're going to need both Ramondre Stevenson and Damien Harris. And Harris just hasn't been a guy that seems to be involved that much. Now, Stevenson is vaulted clearly into the number 1 spot, but Harris has to be able to come out and contribute to save him, and Bob Socci mentioned that as well.
The load that Stevenson has been asked to carry the last several weeks, whether as a runner, a receiver, or a pass protector, has been really unusual by Patriot standards. Not in my time have we seen a running back utilized so heavily by the Pats. Of course, they no longer have the fullback. They no longer have the designated third down back. So I do think that Damien Harris has to be a big part of it. I kind of scoffed at the idea that the Patriots should have traded him going into the trade deadline, as some suggested, because to me, particularly at that position, when you look at the Patriots and J.J. Taylor behind Ramondre Stevenson, that is a huge drop-off from Damien Harris complimenting Ramondre Stevenson.
Yes, 100%. They're going to need Damien Harris to be involved more. You look at it, last year, Damien Harris had 929 yards rushing. This year, he's got 300 yards rushing. He's played in nearly half as many games as last season and has 1/3 of the yards. Last year, he had 15 rushing touchdowns. This year, he has 3. So nearly half the games, 1/5 the rushing touchdowns. Damien Harris is not bad. Damien Harris is a guy that they need to get going because Ramondre Stevenson cannot take all the wear and tear, right? Stevenson's playing every down. As Bob said, running back, pass catcher, pass blocker. He's doing everything. They're going to need more out of Damien Harris. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. The Boston Bruins continue to say and do all the wrong things off the ice. On the ice, they're great. Off the ice, they're handling things entirely wrong. I'll tell you why. That's next on DEV.
Looking for a little more art in your life? Discover the rich arts and culture scene right at downtown Waterbury. Find the perfect artwork to add to your home, whether you prefer pretty paintings and photographs or stunning ceramic sculptures. Find something that combines form and function, or stock up on supplies to keep you busy through fall and winter. Or take a self-guided tour of Waterbury's fantastic public arts in downtown and beyond. While you're looking, keep an eye out for the architecture and other landmarks, or combine it with a historic walking tour. Discover the creative side of Waterbury. Learn more at discoverwaterbury.com.
Hi, Nicole here, owner of Socci Cafe, located at 29 Stowe Street right here in Waterbury Village. We're proud to be Waterbury's community-minded cafe, featuring local coffee, food, and art, including delicious breakfast, lunch, and weekend brunch, with a wonderfully unique collection of art and gifts made in Vermont and beyond. Come in to order, eat, and shop, and for even quicker orders to go, order ahead online at StoweStreetCafe.com. Our dining room's open, as well as our beautiful deck and patio. Come discover why Stowe Street Cafe is so much more than just a coffee shop.
Dell
Technologies Black Friday event has arrived with select deals on top tech to power business productivity. The savings start now with up to 50% off select performance business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, including free shipping on everything. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL for Black Friday deals. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Finding the right Medicare plan? Oof, no easy feat. Kind of like those dances my granddaughter loves making me do. But then I found Walgreens Find Direct's coverage. Lets you compare plans online, over the phone, or in person. Made Medicare shopping so easy. Plus, I found plans with low-cost copays. I can get down with that. Medicare annual enrollment ends December 7th. Find a plan that's right for you at walgreens.com/Medicare.
The fall foliage blowout sale is on at Lamoille Valley Chevy. Our goal here at Lamoille Valley Chevy is to finish off this incredible year strong by making deals. Right, Pat? You got that right. Well, folks, right now at Lamoille Valley Chevy, our 7-acre lot is loaded with new Chevy Bolts, Blazers, Equinox, and several hard-to-find Silverado trucks. And many of these Silverado trucks have plows and dumps and are ready to go to work for you. And because business has been so strong, our inventory of clean, one-owner, late-model cars, trucks, and SUVs at Lamoille Valley Chevy is massive. And we are ready to do whatever it takes to sell them before the snow flies. Listen to this special offer for you just in time for winter driving. During October, come get your best deal on any in-stock, newer, pre-owned SUV, and Lamoille Valley Chevy will include full winter snow tires for just $1. You heard Pat. Get a great deal at the fall foliage blowout sale at Lamoille Valley Chevy, just past Stowe and Morrisville in the beautiful town of Hyde Park, Vermont.
When it's 4th and goal, Vermonters go to Chips Auto in Randolph. Feel secure on the road with tires from quality brands like Nokian, Bridgestone, Firestone, Blizzak, and Goodyear. And Chips can provide repairs and routine maintenance like oil and tire changes to ensure that your vehicle is running at its best. For the win, it's Chips Auto and Tire on Weston Street in Randolph and online at chipsautoandtire.com.
Whatever your interest, sports.
I think the Celtics are
current events.
We're stepping the primary campaign up a bit.
Garden.
If you do get the tomato hornworm, you're going to see them a lot sooner.
Weather.
You may have heard of the word derecho. What is a derecho? Well,
WDEV has a podcast for you. Locally produced podcasts of our own shows and podcasts from our partners at CBS and ESPN. To access the full listing of podcasts, go to our website at WDEVradio.com.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Jazz with George Thomas is coming up next, so he'll be on from 7 until 9. George was listening to the Brady Farkas Show on his way in, and that's great, because I don't think George is a sports guy, but we're converting him to a sports guy slowly by slowly. This is what I did to Roger Hill, right? Like, I turned Roger into a sports guy. I got Geraldine from VT Digger talking sports. I got George talking sports. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm engineering the sports takeover here. So WDEV is always going to be a news station. Don't worry. I'm just saying I'm getting everybody on my side. I'm building sports support. So that's good. And by the way, George asked about my foot. So to the texter who doesn't care about my foot being injured, George cares, and that's good enough for me. So tough. The show is brought to you in part by Pro Driver Training. That's Pro Driver Training, Vermont's premier truck driver training school, online at ProDriverCDL.com, and get your Class A CDL, your Class B CDL, passenger, or advanced skills training as well. On the ice, the Boston Bruins are great. They're 14-2. They have the most wins in the NHL. They have the most points in the NHL. Off the ice, they continue to do things wrong as far as I'm concerned when it comes to this Mitchell Miller thing. Did you hear what Don Sweeney and Cam Neely said? So I'm taking this quote from, or this paragraph, this short paragraph from somewhere. I can't remember where it was, but it came out today. General Manager Don Sweeney acknowledged after the signing of Miller, the team did not talk to the victim of Miller's bullying and racism, Isaiah Meyer-Crothers, or the Meyer-Crothers family. Team president Cam Neely said last week it was, quote, concerning that the team hadn't done so and admitted the organization had failed in its vetting process. So far, any internal discipline has not been announced by the team. It would appear that if there is any, it could come after the independent review takes place. And that's important because the Bruins have now gone to an independent firm to review and investigate their player vetting process. The Bruins have hired a firm to review their player vetting process. And I got to be honest, that means absolutely freaking nothing to me. Independent review, that is all just eyewash to gloss over the problem. The problem here with the Boston Bruins, and the only problem that there is with upper management. Ownership, Don Sweeney, Cam Neely. In this particular case, they are the problem. And this internal review, this is just eyewash to deflect blame away from them. And don't believe anything otherwise. Let me make this perfectly clear to you. When you have a player like Mitchell Miller who comes with baggage, who comes with significant baggage, and Mitchell Miller did, and that baggage was known, at least in part, right? The teams took him off their draft board. The Coyotes renounced his rights. He lost his scholarship. Don Sweeney and Cam Neely, they know Mitchell Miller, and they know at least that he comes with a troubled past and he comes with real question marks. When you have a player that comes with that much baggage, the buck stops with upper management. The vetting process stops with upper management. You can take input from your scouts. You can take input from your AHL coaches or your ECHL coaches or your college contacts. You can take input from everybody. But when it comes to making the decision and pulling the trigger and figuring out the last details, it's on you. And that's it. When you have a player with that much baggage, ownership and upper management, they're the ones who have to put it across the goal line. They're the ones who have to go to the nth degree. This internal review is going to do what? They're going to say our processes weren't good enough, and they're going to fire some low-level staffer that they're going to blame this on. This isn't on some low-level staffer. This is on you. You wanted to win, and you wanted to win at all costs, and you were willing to make a deal with the devil in order to win. That's what this was about. It wasn't about anything else. The vetting process was bad because you let it be bad. That is what happened here. Okay, when you have a player with those issues, then you are the ones that need to do the vetting. You can take input. Hey, what do we know about this kid really? Do you know him personally? What is he like? You can take input, but ultimately you need to go out yourself and do some of the work. General managers and owners, they know everything there is to know about players if they want to. Clearly, upper management either didn't want to know or didn't care enough to know. I'm going to ask Tom Caron about this tomorrow, but this to me seems really weak. Okay, well, we did a review and we found that we had some issues and we'll be better in the future. That's all this is. This is to make it look like you're doing the right thing. You should have done the right thing a long time ago. The vetting process should have been better because ownership and upper management should have done their part, and clearly they didn't. All right. Let's get to the Red Sox. It's interesting. And by the way, today was the deadline for players to accept or reject qualifying offers, and Nathan Eovaldi rejected it that was a mild surprise. I thought that he would, but it was a mild surprise. So Nathan Eovaldi rejected his qualifying offer. So did Xander Bogaerts. So now, as a result, they are fully free agents, and they have the ability to go sign with wherever. And if they do, if they sign with someone else, then the Red Sox are going to get compensatory draft picks. That's how that works. I think 14 qualifying offers were issued. Only 2 players accepted. Jock Peterson with the Giants and Martin Perez, former Red Sox pitcher, with the Texas Rangers. So Martin Perez and Jock Peterson accepted. Xander Bogaerts didn't. Nathan Eovaldi didn't. Anthony Rizzo turned it down, then ultimately signed another 2-year deal with the Yankees. All I want to tell you is that people are agreeing with me when it comes to my view of the Red Sox offseason and my view of the Red Sox starting rotation. John Tomasi of NBC Sports Boston, right? Yesterday, I told you I was okay with bringing back Nathan Eovaldi, but it couldn't be the first move you made, and it couldn't be the big move that you made. John Tomasi wrote this. If the Sox bring back Eovaldi, that means there's nothing even remotely resembling a sure thing in the rotation. Nick Pivetta is a 4th or 5th starter and could be trade bait. Whitlock didn't look nearly as dynamic starting last year as he has relieving, and that was before undergoing hip surgery. Paxton has barely thrown a pitch in 2 years, and Houck may be better suited in the pen. The highest upside arm probably belongs to Brian Bayo, and he's entering his first full season. The development of young pitchers isn't always linear. Also, giving Eovaldi $20 million or a multi-year deal probably takes the Red Sox out of the market for a top-end starter, which means to some degree the rotation will be built on hope. Very interesting. Isn't that largely what I said yesterday? The Red Sox rotation, as it stands right now, is made up of a bunch of question marks and a bunch of B's and C's. They need to get some A's. Right? They need to get some A's. Carlos Rodon is an A. Jacob deGrom, although not my first choice, is an A. Justin Verlander is an A. And if you get an A, then you can start to kick some people out that are C's, and you can bring back Eovaldi, who's a B. But if you're signing Nathan Eovaldi expecting him to be an A, then you're going to be disappointed. He's been an A once in his career. That was 2021. That's it. Otherwise, he's been average or injured. Most other years, he's been in the majors. He was an A in 2021. I am not expecting him at 33 years old this year to be an A again. Chris Sale has questions. James Paxton has questions. Eovaldi has questions. Bayo has questions. Whitlock has questions. Tomasi's right. They need a sure thing. They need a sure thing, or as close to a sure thing as you can have. Carlos Rodon would be an A. That is why he remains my top target. Nathan Eovaldi is not my top target. I'm fine with him coming back. I can't have it be the first move or the only move in that rotation. Again, we will talk to Tom Caron again tomorrow on the Brady Farkas Show. We will do that at about 5:45 tomorrow. When we come back, give you a little UVM and USC preview, and apparently, I need to regret my entire career field. I'll tell you why. That's next on DEV.
Hi, this is Ashley Laferia, and I'm a registered nurse and long-term care coordinator at Central Vermont Home Health and Hospice. CVHHH is looking for a registered nurse or LPN to join our health promotions team, which provides community-based medical care and education to improve people's health and wellness. We offer year-round public foot care clinics, public flu clinics, and COVID vaccinations for staff and patients. In this flexible 10 to 15 hour a week role, you will assist with public foot care clinics and provide other support, including private duty care to clients at home. You will also provide administrative support in the office, including coordination of patient vaccine records. At CVHHH, you can set and manage your own schedule, and you can start your day from home. Most important, you will feel a sense of pride knowing you've provided care that makes a difference in the community. To learn more and apply, visit cdhhh.org.
For some people, all they need to know about weather is the high temperature for the day. But if you're one of those people who really wants to understand the hows and whys of weather, especially here in the Green Mountain State, then Roger Hill's Weather Classroom podcast is for you. Some of the topics I'll explore are the types of precipitation, global temperature averages, and tropical cyclones. Roger Hill's Weather Classroom podcast is available at WDEVradio.com, Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music.
Been a great year for gardening, so enjoy your bounty all winter long. Come to the Willie's store for candy and freezing supplies. See the Willie's store for fresh seafood that now arrives every Thursday. There's quality meat, a huge wine selection, and craft beers, including Hill Farmstead Brewery. Look for newly arrived fall and winter clothing and footwear. And don't forget the True Test interior and exterior paints and stains at the Willie's store. Since 1900 Main Street across from Caspian Lake, Greensboro.
Folks, to say the least, it's been a challenging year for consumers, not just on gas and groceries, but vehicles too. At Lamoille Valley Ford, that ends today. Tell them, kids.
We have over 400 new vehicles either on the ground or in the pipeline, and we're ready to make deals. Right now, at Lamoille Valley Ford, we're taking $2,000 off MSRP on any in-stock Escape or Explorer. When you combine that huge Lamoille Valley Ford discount with factory incentive, returning lessees can take up to $3,000 off MSRP. That's right, that's $3,000 below MSRP. Also, qualified buyers can combine that with 3.9% financing. Or how about this smoke and lease deal? Right now, returning lessees can lease a brand new, fuel-efficient 22 Escape for just $299 per month with only $3,900 cash or trade due at signing. The best part is you don't have to wait 6 months for your vehicle to be ordered. These 400 available units are either in stock or arriving shortly.
Woo! The bottom line is at Lamoille Valley Ford, we're not going to miss a deal. So drive from 14, 15, or 16 to Hardwick and let Lamoille Valley Ford show you we know price matters.
The world is a constantly changing place, and being informed has never been more important. This is Steve Kathan. WDEV, Vermont's news station, and CBS provide you with up-to-the-minute news and information. Whether it's top and bottom of the hour news, breaking news, or special events, if Vermonters need to know, you can trust that WDEV and CBS will inform you. WDEV, keeping an eye on Vermont, while CBS keeps an eye on the world.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Texter says, Brady, your Red Sox questions are legit. Red Sox management is apparently illogical. Unfortunately, longtime fans are used to this. I've said this. I am fighting an interesting internal battle here because I believe that Chaim Bloom is good. And I might be proven wrong on that. But I believe that Chaim Bloom knows what he's doing about building a baseball organization. But I do believe that the path at the major league level is something that I'm questioning, right? Like Chaim Bloom being disciplined and building the farm system and building prospects and working on player development systems, that is right. Right? That's what the Royals did and won a title. The Cubs did it and won a title. The Astros have done it and won multiple titles. The Nationals titles, a lot of them, the title came through a lot of internal players. So Chaim Bloom, what he's doing at the minor league level, I believe to be good and I believe to be correct. At the major league level, I'm questioning exactly what's going on. They just need to do things in the way the Boston Red Sox should do things. Right? And that sounds simplistic, but the Red Sox have resources that nobody else has. They need to identify players, and they need to go after them. They shouldn't be left waiting at the altar. It's like, look, they were interested in Tyler Anderson, lefty pitcher from the Dodgers. And I could do without Tyler Anderson, but they weren't interested in him. He's already gone. 3 years, $40 million from the Angels. The Red Sox could have made that offer, and they didn't. They should have an offer to Jacob deGrom, to Justin Verlander, to Carlos Rodon. And at least to Rodon, their offer should be great right from the start. And right now it's not. I question what they're doing in the outfield. Alex Verdugo and Kike Hernandez, really? That's your outfield right now? I mean, why is Bogarts not getting a best offer right off the top? I don't know. So that the minors, I believe the process is correct. At the majors, I'm wondering about the path to get them back to not just relevance, to get them back to championship level, because that's what we should want. Apparently, I need to regret my career path because 87% of journalism graduates wish they would have majored in another field, apparently. I majored in journalism. I don't regret it. 87% of journalism graduates wish they do. 84% of the public also hates journalists too. 84% of voters say they don't like the current journalists. Well, I don't really care what they say. Anyways, 87% of journalism graduates wish they would have majored in another field. That has to be because of money. I would say that's because of two things. One, the backlash against journalists, right? Like political people on all sides of the aisle have blamed the media for things. So journalists are probably tired of that. The real one's got to be the money. Like people who get into journalism aren't making a ton of money. And it's hard work. And it's time-consuming work. And chances are you're doing 3 jobs in one. That's just the way, that's even the way radio works. Right? Like I know people that are doing 3 jobs in one in radio. Some of us here are doing 3 jobs in one. That's just the way it is. It's not, I'm not knocking anybody. That's just the way the business is. And I'm in the 13% of people that don't regret it, but I'm in the 13% of people that don't regret it, but the people who regret it have to be the people who are in it for money or are upset about the money. I love majoring. The thing I'll say, though, is I learned more from the extracurricular journalism than class journalism, right? Like working on live broadcasts. Like I did a lot of stuff with like hockey and basketball broadcasts at my school. That to me was more valuable than the actual classes. So if you didn't do that stuff, then I could see how you didn't love your actual curriculum. But, I don't know what your school was like. UVM versus USC tonight, final game out west, 11 o'clock tip-off here. So USC lost their opener to Florida Gulf Coast, but they did get a huge win by 38 over Alabama State on Thursday. Trojans picked number 4 in the Pac-12 preseason poll. They have an all-conference first-teamer in Drew Peterson. He's a fifth-year guard, averaged 12 points, 6 boards a year ago, 14 points and 7 boards in the first 2 games this year. They got a 5-star recruit and a McDonald's All-American, Kijani Wright, to the program. So certainly going to be a tough matchup. Not one that UVM is expected to win, but we'll see if they can work on some of the things that we've lamented about over the last couple of days. Scoring depth, rebounding, staying out of foul trouble. These two teams met back in 2014-15. UVM lost that game by just 8 back in the day. Kurt Steidl had 18 points. Ethan O'Day had 14. Cats are looking for their 4th win ever in the state of California. They have beaten, they were in some tournaments. They've beaten Air Force, Illinois State, and Sonoma State before. They had a close call against UCLA back in 2003. But Catamounts looking to upset USC. If they lost to Florida Gulf Coast, they could lose to Vermont. But, the odds are not with us there. But, hey, go Cats, go. Freddie Coleman, Tom Caron tomorrow. Go download the full show podcast. I've had some issues with the podcast lately. We got those rectified. Show will be up here in just a couple of minutes, actually. Jazz with George Thomas is next.
Did you know there's more than $109 million of unclaimed financial property